Hi there. For the my first review in this channel, I will be talking about the Rambo films, which I have the trilogy right here, Rambo films, and I'm a big fan of Rambo. I'm a big Rambo fan, big fan of Die Hard. But Rambo movies I love to death. That's my favorite action movies of all time. I already did review Rambo First Blood on my channel, but this is actually which I'm gonna talk about First Blood 1982, which I love this movie to death. It's my favorite action movie of all time. I listed this movie in my top 10. Will be also upload the videos someday, but like again, um, but yeah, I listed this movie in number 9, but now it's more number 5, because Rambo First Blood Part 2, First Blood, Rambo 3, Rambo, all 4 movies I love to death. They are action movies, one of the greatest, best action movies ever. They don't make action movies like this. And First Blood is my personal favorite action movie of all time. I love First Blood to death. This is my personal favorite action movie, and it's my second my second favorite Rambo film. The first one is Rambo First Blood Part 2, then First Blood. First Blood is my second favorite Rambo First Blood. I mean, my second favorite Rambo movie. But Sylvester Stallone, this time he's fighting for his life. Was actually the first movie that he did. He did Nighthawks, but that movie was not even. Yeah, it did not make him an action star. This is actually his first movie that he did, and written was actually by Michael Kozel and William Sackheim, and of course Sylvester Stallone. And First Blood is actually based on David Morrell's novel, which was released in 1972, by David novel by First Blood. In the book, it's actually different than the movie, because in the book, John Rambo has beard. John Rambo is actually wearing a beard and a long hair. In this movie, Rambo does not use he actually does not use any beard. He has no beard. And Rambo is actually he's completely different in this movie, because I think the movie is better than the book, because in the book Rambo kills over 200 people for target practice, and when they were decide to do the movie First Blood, they actually did not want to do that. And Sylvester Stallone demanded he demanded $3 million for the film, but he got $2 million, which is kind of worth. And during the production in the film, Sylvester Stallone also describes an event in which he was in this bar and this girl was pretending to be his fan only so he could buy her a drink. Of course, he used that scene in Rocky Balboa, 2006. But Sylvester Stallone did a great job. I mean, for those people who are claiming he cannot act, watch this movie. In this movie, he can act. And First Blood is actually the best Rambo. Of all 5 movies, it's actually First Blood the best one, And there's a classic, there's a pure badass classic, a masterpiece, It's one of the greatest, best of the best action movies ever. Directed by Ted Kotcheff, and Ted Kotcheff directed later, right after this movie, he directed Uncommon Valor. But this will be my favorite Ted Kotcheff movie that he did, directed by Ted Kotcheff, which he did perfectly. He directed great and more human, Rambo than he was in the book, And First Blood is, to me, one of my personal favorite movies, my personal favorite action movies. I love this movie to death. I mean, First Blood, I just love First Blood to death, I mean, love this poster, I love everything, This is the back, And First Blood does not deal with CGI, Everything you see in this movie, it's practical. A year later, it was made The Road Warrior, Mad Max 2 or more The Road Warrior. And if you watch The Road Warrior, that was done for real. In this movie, First Blood, this is done for real, there's no CGI. Everything about this movie that you see was just done for real. The action, there are three explosions, they're done all for real. And this movie also shows how Vietnam vets in the time, in the 80s, 90s, or I think more than 80s, they were treated, or when the Vietnam War ended. And also Rambo is also during post-traumatic disorder stress, PTSD, which is not something to mess around. A lot of war vets had that. And of course David Morrell wrote his own story, and Rambo actually got a name by Apple. One day David Morrell was eating apples, and he asked his wife what apple were, and she said they were Rambo apples. So Rambo got the name after an apple. But in the book, it was not his first name John. It was only his name Rambo. In this movie, they did John. And Kirk Douglas supposed to star as Colonel Sam Troutman, but during the production, he wanted that Rambo dies just like in the movie. Just like in the book, and they did not want that. So he left the production, and Richard Crenna has been for the last 2 days before the shooting started cast as Colonel Simon Troutman. And what can I say? First Blood is a badass action movie. A classic. And John Rambo is a Vietnam vet who is a drifter. He goes in this town. He's looking for his best friend, Delmar Berry. They both served in Vietnam in war. They were in the same unit. They were best friends. And Rambo finds out through his wife that Delmar Berry died. That he's gone. That he died last summer. And he asks her how, and she says cancer. He probably numb. With all this shit, I couldn't carry him. And he died. Delmar Berry died with a cancer. Cancer into the bone. Who brought him from Vietnam? He did not know. And Rambo goes sad. He's hitchhiking through the town, and he comes in this town, New Hope, outside of Washington. Actually, New Hope is the town in British Columbia, Canada. This movie was actually filmed in Canada, British Columbia. And we also see beautiful mountains, When Rambo meets this sheriff, you see all the mountains, which is so beautiful, This movie is so pure beautiful. It's beautiful shot. The locations are beautiful. The acting performance by everyone. The cast was great. And Brian Dean, he played Sheriff Will Teasel. He was decorated Korean vet, which Korean War was forgotten, but he was in Korea. He was a Korean vet, And Brian Dean, he died this year, so rest in peace, Brian Dean. I love his character, Sheriff Will Teasel. And Richard Crenna passed away 2003, so rest in peace, Richard Crenna. Richard Crenna appears in Rambo First Part 2, Rambo 3, but he could not return in number 4 because he was no longer with us anymore, so rest in peace. Brian Dean and Richard Crenna, they did both great job. This movie is a pure badass. It's a beautiful masterpiece that I just love. It's special to me. It's my personal favorite action film. I love this movie very much. I love this movie to death. I have to talk about the Rambo films because First Blood, I love this movie to death. It's my second favorite Rambo film, my personal favorite action movie of all time. It's a powerful movie. It's a powerful movie. It's a powerful performance. It's a powerful movie of all time. But yeah, Sheriff Will Teasel starts picking up on Rambo because he says with that jacket and how he look like, he need a bed. And, and he keeps pushing him. And Rambo asks him, in some place I could eat around here. And of course, Sheriff Will Teasel says there's a mine 2 miles uphill, And I love this Rambo's lines. Is there any law against me to eat something here? And Teasel says, yeah, me. Drifters, like those like that. And of course, Sheriff Will Teasel goes and he drives Rambo to goes and drives Rambo to that bridge, it says Portland straight ahead, and that bridge is still there. I watched on YouTube, in which back in 2012, the government wanted to demolish that bridge, but a lot of town people protested against it. They did not want that they don't demolish that bridge, because that bridge is a symbol to First Blood. The town New Hope is now is completely is completely memorized in First Blood, because their town is known by First Blood. And against self-protests against news townspeople, the bridge is still there. They did not demolish, which is great. I wish there will be in First Blood Part 2, not First Blood, Friday the 13th Part 2, they actually demolished that house in which they built for Alice in on the first movie. I read that they demolished that house, which is sad. But this bridge, lucky still is this bridge, so that's great, So Rambo goes back and he gets arrested by Sheriff Diesel for vagrancy, and Rambo goes in the car, and Diesel finds his knife and says, what do you have in the knife? And Rambo says, name it, And Rambo goes in this jail. He's been then treated, and he goes and he's been treated, he's been like mistreated by those deputies, and Art Golf, played by Jack Starrett, rest in peace. He says, name your name, and we see Rambo that he was in Vietnam. He was also he was also in jail. He was prisoner of war, and he was also tortured. And we see that Viet Congs are showing manure on Rambo. And Rambo has been then mistreated by those deputies. He's been mistreated by these deputies, and he's been mistreated by those deputies. He's been mistreated by these deputies. He's been keep pushing around, and Rambo has been really pissed. Rambo keeps saying, because all the torture scenes, all the memories from his torture in the past that he was in Nam, comes back. And we also do see that how Rambo has been tortured, how Rambo has been tortured in the POW camp, when he was in the Nam, and of course now the deputies are beating him, with those sticks, that cops wears. They are going there, keep hitting him, they all keep hitting him, and they use a fire hose by spraying him with the cold water. They're laughing at him, they are mistreating Rambo. They are mistreating him, they should not do that. And then they want to shave him dry, and that's really hurts, shave him dry, and Rambo sees when VC Commander goes with the knife and says, talk or I will catch you, in Vietnamese, and he goes and he slashes his chest, he goes and slashes his chest, and you see all blood. That's all practical effect they did, and Rambo gets post-traumatic stress disorder, and he defends himself, uses his martial arts, his war tactical skills that he learned in a war, in the army, and he goes and punches all the cops. He shows them. He uses his martial arts. He even kicks one of the deputies in the balls. He keeps destroys everything. He steals. He goes and he goes and he steals knife. He goes and he steals knife, and Rambo, he even jumps and kicks kicks Will Diesel. He goes and even breaks this Lester, deputy of Will Diesel's nose. He breaks his nose. He goes and breaks his nose. That was done for real. Stallone really did broke the actor's nose. And Rambo now escapes from the police station. He goes and he steals a motorcycle and he flees. But Rambo has been now pursued by Sheriff Diesel with his car, and they have a great car chases. And Rambo escapes in the mountains, in the wilderness. And now Rambo's test survival skills from Vietnam are on the test, and Rambo has to use them. And Sheriff Diesel promises that he's finished. He's not gonna fire. And Rambo is now going up the hill in the wilderness, while in the woods, which are great woods. And of course, Sheriff Diesel and his army, Sheriff Diesel and his deputies are now pursuing, which he calls Orwell and his dogs, and they are now pursuing him. And Rambo goes up the hill, and he gets on up the hill, which is a beautiful music score by Jerry Goldsmith. And Rambo has no choice. He gets down the hill, he starts climbing without any climbing equipment. He goes and climbs down the hill, and that time with the helicopter, Art Humphries, played by Jack Starr, shows up with he shows up with a sniper rifle, and he points and aims with a sniper rifle on Rambo, and that time from a cop becomes a killer, and he starts firing on the Rambo, and Rambo didn't do nothing. He's just climbing on the wall, and they keep firing at him, and Rambo now has no choice, but he jumps off the cliff, and he lands and hangs himself on the tree. That was done for real, Sylvester Stallone really did that. He really did jump. That jump was done for real. Sylvester Stallone really jumped for real, and he really did hang himself on the tree. And when you see Rambo screaming, that was done for real. You see Sylvester Stallone screaming, that was done for real. Everything was for real. It was done for real. Sylvester Stallone really did broke his 6 ribs, and he hanged himself on the arm, and that's all blood in the scene. That was done for real, And they had to shut down the production for 4 months so that Sylvester Stallone can heal, and they could continue filming from there. But Rambo, we see all bloody, and because we see Rambo screaming, and of course, Art Humphries keeps firing, not Art Humphries, Jack Starr keeps firing, the deputy keeps firing with a gun, with the sniper rifle from Rambo. Rambo grabs a rock and throws it at the helicopter, and now because of the turbulence, helicopter rolls over, and Jack Starr's character falls down because he's a dumbass. Because he's supposed to fasten his seatbelts, but he didn't, and because his stupidity, he gets killed, because the guy was a dumbass, he gets killed. And then Rambo goes to the rocks, he grabs him, he looks like this and see all the memories, and he steals his jacket and his sniper rifle, and then he goes to Rambo and patches his severed arm, because it's all bloody, he patches his arm, And then, even despite all of that, what just happened, because a cop has been killed by accidentally, Rambo tries to do the right thing by turning himself up, and he goes there with his hands up and says, "There's one man dead. It's not my fault. I don't want anyone else to be hurt." I just love that. I love how Sylvester Stallone plays. I love his character. This is my comic book hero. I grew up with Sylvester. I grew up with the Rambo movies. And this is my comic book hero. This is my comic book hero. Rambo, John Rambo. Nowadays there Iron Man, Thor, Batman, Ant-Man, Justice League, Arrow, the Flash, and the other superheroes, like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, But I grew up with this comic book heroes, Rambo. Those are my comic book heroes, Rambo, they were my comic book heroes, That's my comic book hero. And Rambo tries to get himself up, but he gets fired, The assholes are keep shooting at Rambo. So Rambo has no choice. He gets hit but little wounded, but Rambo has no choice, And now there's a storm and they keep pursuing him. And Rambo, which he's a pure badass, he goes and who's a pure badass, Rambo is a pure badass. He goes and he uses he camouflages himself with leaves, with dirt, and he uses those sticks, He uses Rambo uses those sticks, and Rambo uses makes those dog tags, those sticks, dog tags, which are wooden sticks, and he makes a booby trap. And I also kind of think that he used Jack Sarah's jacket as a scarecrow. And when they land the dogs on him, he shot 2 dogs, and he shot Orwell in the leg, and the other dog has been then stabbed, And when Sheriff Teaser and his deputies are now searching for Rambo in the woods, That's my first scene, and they're searching him in the woods. Rambo goes, like a pure badass he is, and Rambo goes like a pure badass he is, and he grabs David Caruso. He later was in CGI Miami, CSI Miami. He grabs him and he stabs in the leg, and wounds him. Rambo wounds him. And the other deputy, which he's looking for Rambo, is a Ward played by Chris Mulkey. Right at the first blood, Chris Mulkey appeared in 48 Hours, which he played another cop, a different type of cop, in the uniform. And Rambo stands in this tree, and Ward does not see him, and Rambo jumps on Ward, and he breaks his legs. He breaks his arm, and he escapes, And there's also Michael Talbot, who was also later in Miami Vice. He says, "Who's that?" And he fires on Rambo, but misses Rambo and hits Ward instead and says, "I got him." And when he runs, he sets a booby trap, and he gets stabbed by those dog tags, which is saw that Rambo was making him like that, with those wooden sticks, sharp sticks. He gets stabbed, and he's been now wounded. And of course, Will Teasel runs to help him, and Rambo grabs with a rope Singleton, and he also chokes him with a rope and ties him, And when Will Teasel calls Singleton, "Where the hell are you?" and he finds him, been all tied up to the tree, that time Rambo shows up, because he's in camouflage with leaves, and they can't see him. His camouflage with leaves, with all mud on him, And I forgot to mention, but Rambo also find that carnage on himself, and he put it so that he wouldn't freeze, That was for real carnage, was not practical made, And Rambo goes and grabs Sheriff Teaser like this, and says, "I could kill him." And this is what Rambo says was actually the most memorable lines ever. "I could kill them all. I could kill you in a tie of the law out here, it's me. Don't push it. Don't push it, or I'll give you the word you won't believe. Let it go. Let it go." And that's just what Rambo says, He could kill them all, but he did not. He only did, his pursuers, he only wounded them, and he set those booby traps, and he puts those officers in a painful situation, He wounded them all, and Sheriff Wilteser goes on the knees and he cried, he shit himself because he saw that Rambo is not someone to mess around, he's not somebody just to mess around, he should not push it, and then then Sheriff Teaser now calls National Guard to help him to hound down former Green Beret, and of course there is a police officer Dave, from different station, restriction, from different restriction, and of course Lester, played by Art Humphries, that I mentioned before, shows up, and says, and says, I was talking to Mitch. Some guys were really rough with him, and Dave says, assholes, and this is which I wrote, it doesn't make one goddamn bit of difference, Dave, and you know it. If one of my deputies gets out of the line with a prisoner, then the prisoner comes to me. And if I find out it's like he says, I kick the deputy, says, me, the law. That's how it's supposed to be, when people start fucking around in the law, then all hell breaks loose. Whatever possessed God in heaven to make a man like Rambo, And that time, Colonel Samuel Trudman shows up and says, God did not make Rambo, I did. And they says, who the hell are you? Samuel Trudman, Colonel Samuel Trudman. I came here, my boy, and they says, your boy? I recruit him, I train him, I command him in Vietnam for 3 years. I say that makes him mine, and I love when Sheriff Teaser says, what Pentagon, sends to a colonel, a bird colonel to straighten things out, and Trudman says, I thought I could help, I'm surprised that he even left one of your passes to live. You're lucky to be breathing. And I love when, actually no, I forgot, Sheriff Teaser says, what did he says? Sheriff Teaser says, he says, hell with what? Rambo's a civilian now. He's my problem. You don't understand. I came here to rescue Rambo from you. I'm here to rescue. I come here to rescue you from Rambo. Is that a fact? And he says, of course, he says, I'm surprised that he even left one of your passes to live. You're lucky to be breathing. Technically speaking, he slipped up. You're lucky to be breathing. And I love when it says, just great. You come here to find out why one of your machines blew a gasket. And this is actually the lines that I wrote. You don't seem to want to accept the fact that you're dealing with an expert in guerrilla warfare, with a man who's the best with guns, class with his bare hands, a man who's trained to ignore pain, ignore weather, to live off the land, to eat things that will make a billy goat puke. In Vietnam, his job was to dispose of enemy personnel, to kill, period, win by attrition, when Rambo was the best. And I just love that, He's, just love that, to live off the land, because Rambo does live off the land, You see, the Rambo is then hunting, a pig, to eat something. He hunts a pig, He eats things that the billy goat will puke. He jumps on a pig, stares a pig, and he eats. And then we see in the mine shaft while Rambo, puts those, he puts, if anyone will go to that mine shaft that he found it, abandoned mine shaft, he will be alert, which is smart, Rambo is a smart, he was smart, he knew what he was doing. And through the radio, Rambo, Troutman then calls Rambo, tries to give himself up, but Rambo says they drew first blood, not me, And Rambo says there will be no trouble if there won't be for this king shit cop always something to eat. But the man keeps pushing, sir, And Troutman says you'll be pushing in your own time, They drew first, their own friends, civilians. They drew first blood, not me. They drew first blood, And I just love this movie, And when they find him, Rambo, in that position, the guardsmen are now hunting him, and they're firing at Rambo. And Rambo, he meets this kid, with a knife, and I love that beautiful soundtrack, beautiful music score by Jerry Goldsmith. I mean, this movie is pure badass. This movie speaks to me. This movie is such a phenomenal action film. It speaks to me, They don't make action films like this anymore, They don't make them. Sylvester Stallone blew it when he did Rambo Last Blood, That was not a Rambo film. This movie is a Rambo film, And Rambo, jumps on this kid, but he does not kill him. He let him live. He let him go, which I love that, Which is a human character, and he's not some Superman, some superhero. He's a human character. He bleeds, he cries, and I love that, the human character, And Rambo, he lets him live. In the book, he kills that kid, but in this movie, he let him live, And Rambo now, he runs, and of course, these guys were shooting Rambo like a pure badass man. Goes with a rifle, automatic rifle, and fires back, and they all shit themselves in the pants. They all shit themselves in the pants, So Clinton Morgan from National Guard leader grabs. He says, blow this up, this guy is a killer. Let's blow these things up. And one of the soldiers grabs a rocket launcher and blows the cave to the pieces. But Rambo escapes, through the caves. Rambo escapes through the caves. And we see all the rats there. And Rambo throws the rats, but doesn't kill him. He escapes, Rambo now finds a hole. Climbs up, and Rambo now jumps on the truck, and he steals the truck. Rambo now steals the truck. This truck. He steals the truck. Rambo steals the truck, and he also in the movie he killed the soldier. In this movie he doesn't kill the soldier, and he says, and what do you carrying, Robert? He says, M60, okay, get it out. And of course, Robert says, hey, no be with you. And Rambo says, go on, move home, He steals the truck, but doesn't kill the soldier. He goes and breaks, he goes, and when this asshole shooting at him, when he's in the truck, he makes it that they crashed, that the police car. He goes and breaks those barricades. He goes down there now in the town, and Rambo with machine gun M60, he goes in the town and he destroys a gas station. He takes the machine gun and he blows the shit up. He blows the truck in the gas station to shit up. And then he goes and destroys the electricity. He goes and destroys the town's electricity. Then he goes in and fires in the store, and then Rambo goes in the drugstore and he destroys the drugstore, he destroys all the munition, the drugstore, he destroys it, and a beautiful score by Jerry Goldsmith, and I love that, and Rambo then goes and destroys the police station, and Sheriff Wiltizar is down the roof, which I love, the nevertheless everyone dies, that says, Sheriff Diesel fires Rambo in the station, but Rambo fires back, and of course Sheriff Diesel falls down, but he's not dead, he only wounds his legs, but he does not kill him, And yeah, and Rambo, of course, now Rambo, yeah, and Rambo, of course, wants to kill him, but he says no. And Rambo says, and of course, Diesel says, "Go ahead, you crazy son of a bitch!" And Rambo really wants to kill him. He's angry, but he's hesitating. And of course, then Diesel says, "No, Diesel." Then Troutman says, "Rambo, don't do it. Don't do it. And of course, you had your war. This mission is over, and of course, one of the guys fires on Rambo, and of course, Diesel says, "Kern, don't fire, hold your fire, And Rambo grabs another weapon, he's like a badass, he's doing like this, and Traman says, "Think about what you're doing, look at it, that old man with M60, M60, they're gonna kill you, It's over, Johnny. You had no private war. It's over." And Rambo says, "Nothing is over. Nothing is over. It was my war. I call you. You ask for me. I call you. You ask for me. Rambo says, and Rambo says, "I didn't ask for you. You ask for me. And Rambo says, back in here, and Rambo says, I kind of forgot those lines, I can't remember. I didn't ask for you, you asked for me, it was my war. And of course, Rambo says, I do everything that I could win, but someone didn't let us to win, And when I came back, I see those maggots yelling about, calling me baby killer, and all crap like that. Who are they to protest me? Who are they? They said they've been there and see what I did. They know what the hell they're yakking about, And back there, I could fly gunships. I drive a tank, $1 million equipment. Out here, I can't even hold up parking cars. Back then, there's a call of honor. There's simply nothing. There's nothing. Where are these guys, man? Where are these guys? This is all my friends. But these good guys, my friends. I hear it's nothing. And remember, Harris. Remember, he was always talking about this green Chevy, that is driving, and this kid show says shine, and I go to there, and Joey opens it up, and the box is wide, and it blows up, and he says, "My friend, he's all over me," and my friend, his kids cry my name, Johnny, I want to go home, I want to go home, I want to drive a car Chevy, and of course, I couldn't find his legs, and Rambo is completely crying, and we just understand what happened, And yes, Rambo then, he surrenders, and I love beautiful music score, and this is the last time we see Sheriff Will Diesel and Rambo in the eyes, and the movie then ends with a beautiful music song. It's a long road, sung by Dan Hill, but was written by Jerry Goldsmith, And First Blood, I just love this movie to death. Personal, I love this movie. It's my personal favorite action movie of all time. Rambo, there's a police officer being killed by his own stupidity, but Rambo is a human character, he doesn't kill anyone, And also, I also look from the point of view of Sheriff Will Diesel, why he did it, And he was a Korean War. The Korean War was forgotten, he's a Korean vet, and he didn't like Vietnam vets, because they were more popular. He didn't like them, he was keep pushing them, And also, Diesel did everything, he did everything. He was protecting the law, protecting the town That's how he was. He wasn't some pants-ass. He was a badass. I also love Will Diesel. I love Sheriff Will Diesel. Rest in peace, Brian Denke. And Sylvester Stallone demanded $3 million for this film, but he only got $2 million, which is fair enough. And this is actually first Sylvester Stallone action film that he did. First film. That he did, First Blood, which doesn't continue, which doesn't excluded Rocky films, because that time Rocky 3 showed up, and I love Rocky 3 and I love First Blood. I love this movie to death, and yeah, so of course there was a rough cut over 2 hours, but Sylvester Stallone thought that this movie is gonna destroy his career. But so he asked the producers, the studio, if he could get the cut, so he will destroy it. But they said they're not gonna do that. And Rambo Stallone says they should this movie should tell a story, which they cut, which they did. They cut for 1 hour 33 minutes, which is much better. The movie's fast paced, goes quickly around, and I understood what the movie is about. It got a great. We get a great story, and also I would say this movie is my movie. It's my favorite action movie. It's better than Commando or better than any Arnold Schwarzenegger films, because Arnold has nothing on Sylvester Stallone, because Stallone wrote the script. He wrote the script. This is his movie, and Sylvester Stallone, I saw an interview that he said it's a powerful movie that he ever portrayed. It's a powerful movie, and he loved this movie. He loved this movie. And also this movie puts Sylvester Stallone on the top, And also my history with Rambo, how it was, I used to have a classmate. I saw Rambo 3 when I was 9 years old, but I didn't like it. I only saw the opening scene in which Rambo was fighting, the third movie. He was fighting in the Thailand, and I just didn't like it. Rambo with when Rambo was looking like that, I just did not like him. I just did not like the time, and I did not watch Rambo till end. I quit with the film. But I had a classmate in the 2nd grade. That was years later. And my friend was keep telling me. He was keep telling me all the time that that how First Blood is the best. He always was talking about Rambo First Blood. He was talking that this is his favorite film. He was non-stop talking to him about me. And Sunday I mentioned it. I watched Rambo 3, and he did not even want to hear about it. But he all talk how iconic this movie is. John Rambo is iconic action hero, and just love that. And Rambo, Rambo, he was keep talking about that he's watching Rambo First Blood, and even a teacher asked him what to do when you go home, and he says, I eat, I have a lunch, I eat, I do homework, and I watch Rambo, First Blood. And, so, I actually wanted to see Rambo films, but my store in my near hometown, my neighbors, they only got Rambo 3. There was that movie, I think it was Operation Petticoat with Audie Murphy. I'm not remember exactly, but yes, it was that, and it was in the same tape was Rambo 3, and I think around December '94 I actually got a break when I did got Rambo 3, and when I watched Rambo 3, I was a huge fan because that movie surprised me. Rambo 3 was a badass, And First Blood, there was another video store which I called in the next town, which there were actually all 3 Rambo films, and I rented First Blood, and then I rented Rambo 2 and 3. But when I watched this movie, I wanted to be like John Rambo. This is my favorite iconic film. I even had a toy gun, toy knife, just like Rambo, I love the knife that Rambo uses, he relies on him, designed by Jimmy Lyle. I love the knife. In the book, Rambo didn't have the knife. In this movie, he has an iconic knife, And this and Rambo 3 was my favorite childhood film. But like I said, I love all Rambo 4 films. Rambo is my favorite character, my favorite action character, and the Rambo franchise my number one favorite action franchise. Then is of course the Die Hard films, which I also gonna review separately. And also about Sylvester Stallone, according to Stallone, he was in this cell, he was doing this scene in that cell in which he stand back, which David Caruso was standing him back, and he said, "Can you see this guy is crazy?" And when he was with a rubber hose, he was hitting in the back, in that cell, when Jack Starrett hits with in the back, Stallone, he hits him in the back, and David Caruso stands behind him and says, "Can't you see this guy is crazy?" That they had to do 4 times. They had to do this scene, and Sylvester Stallone's back was on fire already. And Sylvester Stallone turned around to say to the director, "What you doing? The kid said the line perfectly. Why we keep doing it?" And that coach says, "Shut up and let's do it again." And that time Sylvester Stallone, came to him. He pushed him, and in the next scene he was handcuffed, by security guys, and he's been then taken out of the filming locations. They dragged it out of filming locations, because he pushed the director, because the kid said perfectly. And he said, "Shut up, let's do it again." His back was on fire, and that's what actually happened, And yeah, and also, like I said, there was also in the scene in which the Sylvester Stallone was in this bar, and there was this young girl who shows up and pretends she's a fan of his movies, so that Stallone would buy her drinks. Of course, he didn't do that. That scene he later used Stallone in Rocky Balboa, 2006. But Rambo movies, the Rocky movies, the Rambo movies from Stallone are my favorite, But yeah, that's my review on Rambo First Blood, which I love. This is my favorite movie of all time. I love this movie to death. First Blood, he never fought a battle he couldn't win, which is a badass film. For 1982, love this movie to death. So that's my movie review. Take care. Also, I wanna show you somebody. Rick, say bye to the audience. Yeah, I love my dog, so say bye. Ciao. I'm out.